You're welcome to the Grand Sports Center. It's so good to be with you this beautiful Friday morning. Sorry, we've not been on for about 4 days, and it's due to some technical issues we've had. But good to know that those things have been rectified, and we are good to go this morning. We promise to make up for lost time by saving you the very best and the very best of sports on the program today. I am Donald Agbabobo. I guess you've not forgotten our names. I'm flanked as usual by my usual colleagues. I have Austin Arome with me. Austin, you're welcome.
It's always my pleasure.
How does it feel to be back on air?
I'm so excited to be back. Dishing out sports once again.
And I'm sure Blessing Bassi feels the same as well.
Yes, it's good to be here with you.
Well, let's go straight to what we have for you today. We shall be talking about the situation of things with the national under-17 team, the issue of the MRI scan. The coach of the team, Fatah Amo, has clarified the situation, saying that not what we've been hearing, that actually they've not gotten official number of players that actually have been declared not eligible for the competition. So we shall be talking about the situation in the national under-17 team. Also, the league management company seems to be making moves to ensure the league starts. I think the first step has been taken. The annual general meeting of the body will be holding on the 29th of December in Abeokuta. We shall be looking for talking about what to expect from that meeting. And Rivers United step up their preparations for the CAF Confederations Cup first leg tie against Bloemfontein Celtics of South Africa. That match comes up next week in South Africa, and the River State team are actually stepping up their preparations. We shall be looking at their preparations and previewing that match. Robert Lewandowski is in the air, is in the news. He has always been, and he will continue to be, I think, in the next couple of years, because he still has a lot to dish out. He has been crowned FIFA Best Player of the Year, a big departure from what we've been used to in recent times, where it has either been Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo. So somebody coming to break that stranglehold of those two players on that award. So Robert Lewandowski, a well-deserved award, I must say. We shall be looking actually at the FIFA Men's Award that was held virtually yesterday, and talking about the other winners such as Jurgen Klopp, who won the Best Coach of the Year, Manuel Neuer, who won the Best Goalkeeper of the Year, and of course an analysis of the FIFA FIFPro Men's World 11. Also, the English Premier League is taking steps to ensure that player safety is given adequate attention by announcing that they will commence permanent substitution over concussion issues. The IFAB, the rules making body of football, have actually declared that leagues should henceforth begin to allow permanent substitutions when the player has head injury. So the Premier League is taking the lead. They are to commence permanent concussion substitution trials from January. In boxing, Nigerian boxers are looking forward to the Olympic trials, which comes up next year in France, and the coaches are standing very optimistic. Coach Tony Payegwachi and Mohamed Umar are standing very optimistic. We shall be looking at Nigeria's chances as they go for that trial in France next year. Also, Russia had their 4-year ban over doping irregularities by the World Anti-Doping Organization, WADA, reduced from 4 years to 2 years by the Court of Arbitration for Sports. But then, is this good news for Russia, or there's still some implications to that? We shall be talking about that and so much more. Super Eagles, what will we talk about Super Eagles players, how they are doing for their clubs, and keeping a close eye. And also today in Sports History, where we'll get to serve you some of the important events that have happened in the world of sports on this day, 18th of December, over the years. So sit back and relax and enjoy your time with us. We promise to serve you a very, very bumper package today. We'll take a short break and we'll come back. We'll go straight to the main issues of the day. welcome back to the Grand Sports Center, and straight to our first issue. We're looking at the national under 17 team, the Golden Eaglets, their preparations. In recent times, we heard reports that the MRS scan, which is mandatory, which is the main way FIFA actually identifies those eligible for the competition, has actually thrown up some very interesting results, with majority of the players penciled down by Coach Fatai Amao not actually being eligible. They failed that. This scan revealed that they are actually above the age for the competition, which meant that the coach needed to go back to start getting players. They've been in camp for about 1-2 months now, and it's that news did not come to as a palatable news, because it would have meant the coaches going back again to start screening players. But then the coach of the team, Fatai Amao, has come out to say the results of the MRS scan are not actually out. So the issue of who failed or did not pass the failed to meet up with the age limit is not an issue for now, because the results are not yet out. Well, Austin, is this good news, given the fact that the news is not the results are not out officially, but then they will still come out one day? So should we still be apprehensive, because it could still mean that what has been reported is true?
Yeah, I think all the rumor is actually attributed to the fact that the test was conducted, and they actually went incommunicado, like nothing was heard from them. Rumors started flying that about 40 or so, about 40 of the players already at least penciled that failed the test. But then the coach is coming out this morning to actually counter that claim, and I think this is what we should do in order to bridge that gap, for there to be understanding. This is the kind of thing we should do. Just when you hear a particular rumor, you come out to despair if it is true. Instead of just keeping quiet, it will fuel the rumor. But then I believe with the coach coming out to speak at this moment, I think we should all be optimistic, and I know a lot of players are not going to fail that test.
But now let's look at a possible scenario that this actually is a situation which is possible. But what does it tell you of the fact that even players coming for screening are not actually screened? Let me use the word, because we eventually go for the MRI scan. Why don't you think the NFF should actually start the screening themselves, by ensuring that those that even turn out for the screening are those that are within the age limit, to save ourselves this kind of possible situations where rumors come out that majority of the players actually did not pass the test?
Well, I feel this MRI scan is more like a setback, because this is happening like the first time, especially with the under 17 team. Because if Fatai Amo didn't finally gets a positive result at the end of the day, it's as good as starting from scratch.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel that like you mentioned, the NFF coming together, bringing this actual under 17 team, the very people that we they should do the scan and bring out these very people that we know that will be available for this major competition.
Yes, just make sure that right from the camp you actually limit the number of people that may likely fail, because you get to know, there are some people that come, that this one will just be over the age. So why actually allow them to stop other people, take other people's places? At the end of the day, we've had very ugly situations in the past. MRS scan actually almost marred Nigeria's outing in previous competition. Players like Wilfred Ndidi were stopped from playing the 2013 group that won the World Cup in United Arab Emirates. He was part of the team that played in the African qualifiers, but by the time they were to go for the World Cup, that team that was coached in 2013 and by Manu Gaba, and by the time they were to go for the World Cup in United Arab Emirates, the MRS scan was done and Wilfred Ndidi was screened out. That was how he was now moved from under 17 to under 20. I played under 20 for that year. So luckily the team still went to the World Cup and won without him, but it would have been devastating because he was a key member of that team at that time. So you could imagine how it would be if some of the key members that have been penciled down by coach actually failed the test. That's why we're saying the NFF should start the screening right from the camp before they even go to the MRI test, so that's to save us any possible reaction, any possible consequences of this nature. So that's all about the under 17 situation, and we'll go next because we'll not be taking too much of breaks. We just want to quickly go over some of these issues right away. We'll go next to the league management company. The LMC has been in the news either for the right or for the wrong reasons, but for the wrong reasons in the sense that our league is yet to start, and many people cannot actually fathom the fact that the league is not up. Because most other countries, Ghana, most countries, North Africa, South Africa, their leagues are running. Across the world, leagues are running. So why is Nigerian league not up and running? So if the reason had been attributed to COVID-19, but all these other leagues are running, and only recently we are privy to the controversy that came up concerning the date of commencement, the commencement of the league, and the date was actually fixed earlier, and only for the league management company to say they didn't fix such a date. Afterward, there was no official communication from their office, so left many of us embarrassed. Some of us that are actually gone ahead to announce the commencement of the league for that date. But now this time around, they seem to have put their acts together, and they are taking steps towards ensuring the league starts by fixing a date for the commencement, for the annual general meeting, which I know is a prelude to the commencement of the league, because it's at this meeting that some of the important decisions that will lead to the commencement of the league are taken. So Austin, hope we are not going to get another rejoinder from the LMC that they didn't fix this date, 29th of December.
That's exactly what I was trying to talk about, the issue of the under 17 team. But then they have been meeting upon meeting upon meeting upon meeting, and our league has not started. So what are we meeting for again? It's not about the meeting. Let's just decide on a date. You can sit wherever you are and do a meeting, a kind of virtual meeting, and then fix a date. We need to start our league already. Why are they keeping the league on hold? We see how our teams, our local clubs are struggling continentally. Rivers United, they have a game in the Confederations Cup. They are preparing for the Confederation Cup, and our league is not on. How do you expect them to be match fit? This is a problem we'll have. We'll continue to have this problem until we fix our league.
And of course, a blessing. Fine, maybe the LMC, not holding brief for them. They want to get it right. They just don't want to get the league started, and somewhere at some point they run into itches and people start complaining. Maybe they want to get it right. So what do you make of it all?
Well, I think it's based on the fact that there are so many talks about the league not starting for a while. The fact that this minute they bring out a certain date, and all of a sudden there's a result of COVID. There's an issue of COVID-19. Like you said, other leagues have started. Why has the Nigerian league, not started? It's really affecting every sphere of football. Look at the age grade competitions. Look at how the Flying Eagles came out last and were knocked out. It affected
the Waffle B tournament.
Exactly, affected most of the
continental
league,
teams.
yes, not qualifying, like Plateau United and the rest. If the league had kick-started, it would have gone a long way. So
yes, indeed. So we're already feeling the effect of the league not starting, just like Blessing pointed out. A number of our teams have played in competitions falling by the wayside much earlier than we expected. Cited the Flying Eagles, cited Plateau United, cited Kano Pillars as well, who were knocked out of the CAF Confederations Cup and the CAF Champions League. So we hope that this time around, there's no problem with them meeting, but the only issue is that we hope that far-reaching decisions that will lead to the commencement of the league are taken at that meeting. Still moving on, talking about Nigerian football, Rivers United will be competing, are still in the continent, one of the few teams alongside Eimba that survived the last round of continental competition. They're now in the first round of the competition, and they're playing the first leg of the CAF Confederations Cup against Bloemfontein Celtics of South Africa next week. And the team seems to have stepped up preparation despite the league not starting. And the the team's goalkeeper, Theophilus Afelokai, a very experienced goalkeeper, who has been in the Super Eagles as well at some point, is giving us some news to cheer about this morning that he's fit and ready to go. The coach of the team, Stanley Eguma, says the players are in good condition. So, Austin, the league has not started, but then the Rivers United are sounding very optimistic.
Yeah, I think all that is down to the experience of the coach, the experience of the players. Felokai himself is an experienced goalkeeper. He was part of the Super Eagles at one point, the home base. So they have one or two players I believe they can depend on. But then they are going to play against a South African team, and we all know how good these South African teams are. Though in the last game against my Nema Union, they actually played a penalty shootout. They won away from home. They came home and they lost. At the same margin. The match ended in a penalty. Likewise, Rivers United. So I think they should believe. They have a chance going into this game. They are not unbeatable. The Bloemfontein Celtic are not unbeatable.
And I'm blessing. We've talked about earlier about this our league not starting. Would this actually be an issue? It was an issue in the last round. They barely scraped through, just like Austin said. They had to beat Kings Faro of Equatorial Guinea by 3 penalties. They lost 2-1 away and won 2-1 at home. So they scraped through, just like the opponent, Bloemfontein, scraped through as well. So, but this time around, they're playing against the South Africans. South Africans have been active in their league, but Super Rivers United have not been active. So, are we really operating on a level playing field?
Well, that's the same thing we are talking about. The league has not commenced and it has really affected a lot of things. But I want to believe that with the positive spirit they have, and the fact that they are very ready to come out, and play their game. It's normal for a coach to, always want to boost the team spirit, but at the same time, performance also matters,
yes,
and preparation before, the event, So I get the fact that there's this positivity, going into the game, but at the same time, I want to believe that Rivers United, should have an upper edge, judging by the fact that they've proven, especially in their last game, where they happened to, win to qualify for the stage.
Yes, indeed, and of course, not forgetting also that Eimba too will play in CAF Champions League next week. They play against El Merreikh. Understand that El Merreikh, who are not easy customers in this competition, they have stepped up their preparations. They moved into camp, and their league is up and running as well. So Eimba too have a very uphill task against El Merreikh. They won the then African Cup of Winners in 1989. They beat Grande United. I remember that match. Grande United played in the final. They won 1-0 in Sudan. They came here and played 0-0 with Grande United. That's how they won at that. So they have very experienced continental-based team, and most Nigerian players have played for that team, likes of Kelechi Osowa and the likes of Stephen Wogo, all former Eimba players too. So they are a team that actually imports players from different parts of Africa, especially Nigeria. So they are not going to be easy meet as well. So we wish Eimba and of course Rivers United the best of luck. We'll continue to talk about them as we build up to next week when they will play those matches. This is where we'll take our second break of this program today. When we'll come back, we'll go to Europe where we'll talk about the FIFA Men's Awards that were held yesterday as we look at the various winners of the awards. Welcome back to the Grand Sports Center. And the FIFA Men's Players Award was held yesterday virtually. I think this is the first time it's happening. At least it held, unlike the Ballon d'Or, which was cancelled because of COVID-19. At least this one held. But then there's a winner, Robert Lewandowski. It's not Lionel Messi or Ronaldo this time around, though we saw it coming that that stranglehold by those two great players will be broken this year. And many people also feel that the Ballon d'Or held should have also been Robert Lewandowski. Austin, is Lewandowski actually the deserved winner of this award?
I believe so. Messi and Ronaldo, although they're still up in their game, but then Lewandowski has been phenomenal in the last 3 seasons, if not more than. In the last 3 seasons, 2018-2019 season, he scored 22 goals in 33 matches.
It's rated for just the 2019-2020
yeah,
season.
2019-2020 season, 31 appearances, 34 goals, which is on the high, if you ask me. Even in the Champions League, he had in 4 matches he scored 3 goals, and he was outstanding last year, coupled with the fact that Bayern won that treble. I believe he deserved it. Kudos to Ronaldo and Messi, but this time around I believe this award is actually going to the right person.
Blessing, is this the beginning of the end of Messi and Ronaldo's dominance of not just this award, all other awards that they've been dominating in the last decade?
Obviously, it's obviously a competition. I don't think this is the beginning or the end of it. I kudos to Lewandowski, for this award, because he obviously said when he was given the award that he never thought he would compete against Messi and Ronaldo, and him obviously winning that award. So he has been spectacular, especially in his game with Bayern Munich, and the fact that he was he was better off compared to Messi and Ronaldo.
Yes, you can actually fault Lewandowski's achievements last season. He was part of the Bayern Munich team that dominated every competition that they played last year. They won the Champions League, they won the UEFA Super Cup, they won the German Super Cup, they won the DFB Pokal, like the FA Cup, and of course the German Bundesliga. So, and Lewandowski was instrumental across those matches. 47 in all, he scored 55 goals. So what else can you expect? Not just goals, he also had 10 assists, which means he can deliver and he can also help others to deliver. So what else do we expect from this player? He has done very well. I think most people make the mistake of saying that he won because Messi and Ronaldo were not actually at their best. Looking at their record last year, it wasn't as fantastic. But could that have been that he won because there was a drop in Messi and Ronaldo?
Yeah, I think you can attribute that to his victory. But then, if you look at his records last season, you think even if Messi and Ronaldo are going to be there, I believe he should still give them a run for their money.
Run for their money, honestly, because the kind of goals is called 55. Sorry, his 47 matches is phenomenal. And all the awards for last night saw the coach of the year go to Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp. Well, many people would have thought that Hansi Flick of Bayern Munich, given the plethora of achievements, competitions he won the Bundesliga, the PFK Pokal, that's the FA Cup, won the Champions League, he won the European Super Cup, the German Super Cup, 5 trophies, and Klopp, all he did was to win the Premier League for Liverpool after 30 years. How do you make? What do you make of the choice of Klopp?
Well, I should say that Klopp has really been spectacular, especially this season. With Liverpool form of play. The last game I've used the last game especially against Tottenham, for instance. I saw the way the Liverpool team, went into that game and obviously played so well in that game, and with Jurgen Klopp also putting his own impact too in the players. That shows a coach that is obviously he's good. So far so good. Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool has been performing tremendously well, especially the fact that they won last season.
They won season, and
yes,
and he won the same award as the best coach last year, and he's repeating again this year. So for me, Another interesting personality in that list, the third position went to Marcelo Bielsa of Leeds.
Yeah.
Leeds just got promotion from Championship to Premier League, and could it be because they've been away from the Premier League for such a long time? It took a Marcelo Bielsa to bring them back. That's why it's been, why is Marcelo Bielsa? I have tried to actually reason it out. Why could they have been fine? Not taking it for Marcelo, a very beautiful coach, we know, but there are other coaches that won their leagues. This is just a championship team going to the Premier League. Or could it be the manner in which he went about it? Why do you think Marcelo Bielsa was actually included in that list?
I think a lot of people that have spoken about Bielsa talked about the fact that, you know, once you come in contact with, you know, Marcelo Bielsa, if you are meeting him as a boy, the moment you come in contact with him, you turn into a man. So he has this way of harnessing the player. He has a way of, you know, even the players we thought are average or ordinary, you know, when they come in contact with Marcelo Bielsa, he turned them into good players. Look at this Leeds United, for instance. Against any team, no matter the kind of players you parade, they tend to attack, and which is the kind of mentality he's still
So what they did in the first match of the season, Liverpool barely scraped through to win 4-3.
Yeah.
And their last match against Newcastle, which was on Tuesday, they beat Newcastle 5-2. And looking at the players he has, no spectacular, no big names, but he has a way, like Austin just said, of bringing out the best in players. So it's good to know that it's not just about winning awards, trophies that counts for coaches. Also coaches that actually impact positively the performance of the players are also given recognition. So as Bielsa may not have won, but I think it's a very, very good recognition for him, given that the fact that he's a South American and he still doesn't speak English. So maybe he can speak, but maybe he doesn't speak English. So we could tell you that his job may be a little bit more difficult, but then it's having a way of getting his message across. So talking about the award, Manuel Neuer was picked as the best goalkeeper. Bayern Munich and Germany goalkeeper. He beat Jan Oblak and Alisson of Liverpool to the award. Is it another deserved award?
Yes, Manuel deserved that award, if you'd ask me. Yes, he has been tremendous, especially in recently, you know. So I want to believe that he deserved the award.
Okay, Jan Oblak was another goalkeeper that made people feel on current form should be the best in the world at the moment.
Yeah,
I think Madrid goalkeeper, but he came second.
I think all that is, you know, I think it's based on the Champions League result, because if you look at Manuel Neuer, he was actually instrumental to that Champions League winning team, especially in the final. He had to make superb saves to keep Bayern in that final up till that time where they had to score the winning goal. So I think that actually played a role in him being the best goalkeeper of the year.
Well, look at the fifth. Let's take a look at the FIFA FIPRO Men's World 11, and the list shows that Liverpool has about 4 players. Alisson Becker is in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk, and Thiago Alcantara from Liverpool. Then we have Davies of Bayern Munich, Kimmich also Bayern Munich, Lewandowski of Bayern Munich, then Kevin De Bruyne of Man City, and of course Messi and Ronaldo. Anybody missing from that list? Bless him. Any player that would have been there that is not supposed to be there?
Well,
or that's not there, sorry.
I'm actually looking at the list and I'm thinking the players that obviously should be there, obviously there.
Are there?
Yes,
Okay. Austin, any player that should have been there that is not there, or any player that is there that shouldn't have been there?
I think either Mane or Salah should have been there.
And who will drop?
I think it has to be either Ronaldo or Messi. One of them should drop.
That's what I wanted you to say it. There are things that you just can't say with your mouth. You can't Messi and Ronaldo for. Well, it's unfortunate that in this era, Messi and Ronaldo, if you don't give them the award, and if you're getting a fifth pro level, there's no way they will make it. There's no way they will make it. So this is their time. They're gradually buying out, actually, not playing at the level that we know them to. But then for them to still be relevant at this moment speaks volume of their capabilities as players. So for the FIFA Free Pro Men's Award, we can't fault the decision. Actually, these awards, all of them were picked by coaches of national teams, journalists, selected journalists, and captains of national teams. So they would have said maybe the fans, the person that had the most fans won. No, they were picked by their professional colleagues, fellow coaches, fellow footballers, and of course journalists who actually cover the game. So much about the FIFA Men's Award for the year. We shall take a short break, and when we come back, we shall be talking about the latest decision by the Premiership to start permanent concussion substitution trials from January. What does this mean for football, and what does this hold for players' welfare? We shall be analyzing it all when we return from the short break. Welcome back to the Grand Sports Center, and we shall be talking about the latest decision by the Premier League to commence concussion substitution trials from January, and this follows the ruling by the International Football Association Board, IFAB, who are responsible for drawing up the rules and regulations governing the game of football. And part of the latest regulation stipulates that players who suffer concussions as a result of head injuries should be substituted, and teams, even if the team has already made its maximum 3 or 5 substitutions, as the case may be, they should still be allowed to make substitution. And to balance it, the opposing team will also be allowed to make a substitution if they want to. So, Premiership said they will be starting this from January. What does this hold for football going forward, and of course welfare of players generally?
I think it's a good move for both the clubs and the players, because of the fact that you don't expect a player with concussion to play through the entirety of the match. Probably number one because loss of blood, but in the case of Jimenez, where he actually had a brain fracture. All these things are part of the game, but then we have to look at the players. The welfare of the player is also important, and as much as you're looking out for a fair play, for the game to be fair, but sometimes you have to consider the players' welfare. The case where a player was actually injured, and then we don't have that spot for substitution again. I think we should consider that, because it's not going to be fair play to the team that is involved, because of the fact that at that point in time they are going to be a man down. So if you ask me, this decision is actually a fair one to all concerned.
And but then this thing came about because of, like Austin mentioned, the latest case of Jimenez that had injury. Just one out of so many that have happened. In fact, the other person that was involved in collision with Jimenez, David Luiz, continued playing, which was quite dangerous. And we've had the case of the former Tottenham player, the Belgium international, Jan Vertonghen, who also had such an issue. He had to be substituted. He came back again to continue the match because they had used up the maximum substitution. But is this enough? Because players, both present and retired, have had health issues resulting from injuries, knocks they received on their head while playing. You hear of players now having dementia and various other issues that has to do with the nervous system, as Alzheimer's disease and all those stuff. So former players are coming out to actually speak. Is this rule enough to actually um, ensure that players' health is actually taken care of? Is this move enough to actually solve the problem, or we need to do more?
Well, I think the rule it's a welcome idea if you'd ask me. The fact that players' health and welfare is mostly important. A player cannot, obviously have such injury and continue to play. A player is taken out of the pitch, and there's need, to obviously bring in. I obviously think it's a welcome idea, because if a player is out of pitch and there's a need to substitute another player, why not? And the fact that there's need for more, substitution. Like you mentioned the case of Jimenez and his injury. So I feel like there's obviously a need for players to get medical attention, and the fact that another player should come in, to continue that.
Yes, because most players that actually have such injuries and they end up continue playing is because they can't draw. If they go out of the pitch, their team will be a man down, because there's no room for substitution. So, if you ask me, probably this is a very right step to take. Maybe more things to be done, but this is a very nice step to take. And these players will now know that if I have any injury, I should go out. Even if I'm not too sure whether I can continue or not, I should go out, because I know that somebody will take my place. But so we welcome this development. I will hope that we just hope that it's not coming a little too late, because we know of players that have actually suffered really fatal injuries on the pitch of play that have even led to death. Tunde Charity, former Nigeria under-20 player, former Super Eagles invitee, the match between Bender Insurance and Julius Berger in the 90s, had head injury, head collision. He continued with the match. At the end of the match, he collapsed in the dressing room, and that was his end. So we hope that such situations will be a thing of the past in football from now onwards, and also players after retiring complaining of dementia and other disease that has to do with nervous system will also be a thing of the past. So welcome this totally. We look forward to January when it will come into force. We'll take another break, and when we'll come back this time we'll talk boxing. Nigerian team to the Olympic Games will be participating in the Olympic trials in France next year. The team is looking ahead with great relish to that challenge, and the coaches of the team, Umar Mohammed and Anthony Koyegochi, are sounding very optimistic. We shall talk about that when we'll come back from the short break. Welcome back to the Grand Sports Center, and next we'll talk boxing, and this time, at least for once, we'll not be talking Anthony Joshua. We're talking local boxing, because the Nigerian boxers for the 2021 Olympic Games, or 2020 Olympic, which has been moved to 2021, will be going for trials in France. This trial was supposed to have been done earlier this year, but because of the COVID-19, it was moved to next year in France. So Nigeria will be going there, and the coaches of the team, Mohamed Oba and Anthony Koyegochi, are very optimistic that the team will do very, very well. When they are the coaches, they should have faith in their boxers. Austin, boxing over the years, if you want to categorize sports as medal prospects for Nigeria in the Olympics, you look at athletics, you look at football, I think boxing is next in line. So if the coaches are sounding optimistic, should we really be happy that at least this time around at the 2020 Olympic, postponed 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo, we should be expecting something good? Well, first and foremost, we should have as many boxers as possible from the trials.
Yeah, I think There was actually a trial that was held in Senegal, I think around February 2020. Nigeria could not actually go for that trial because of lack of funds. But then they're now going for the one in Paris. I think is actually a good one. I think when you just like you said, when you're talking about sports where Nigeria can be optimistic about when it comes to getting the medals. You talk about boxing, just like you said, football and every other sport. So I believe it's the right move, and I know, the caliber of boxers we have, we have this thick skin that, despite the fact that things are going against us, the order is not in our favor. We try to fight it out, and I believe with this happening right now, it will serve as a motivation to our boxers. Hopefully, we can get a ticket for the Tokyo Olympics.
Not just a ticket, Austin. We need as many tickets as possible from different categories, because the more boxers you have in the Olympics, the more the purpose of your getting medals at the Olympics. Well, blessing, and we know that in the last couple of Olympics, boxing has not been doing very well for us at the Olympics, in that we've not actually harvested medals for boxing in the last couple of years. So, and with the coaches sounding very optimistic this time around, and maybe we should actually also look forward with great expectation.
Yeah, I think we should look forward with great expectation. Although a lot of things have, gone on, especially with the Boxing Federation and sports generally. But at the same time, we should, be positive and look forward to the great expectation, and the fact that it's an avenue for to scout for especially boxers that are ready to compete in events, because there are obviously talents out there, especially when we're still going down to grassroots. There are people who are willing and ready to take up this opportunity. So there should be an open avenue for a means to scout for these talents, so that at least they could perform better and make us proud in these major competitions.
Well, that's all right, and we hope that the Boxing Federation and the coaches will continue to put their acts in order to ensure that what's the optimism that they have actually sharing with us will translate to performance by the boxers when they get to France. We also know that the Champions of Champions competition, so was another competition used to prepare the boxers for the Olympic trials, so we hope that they will get it right. We'll take another break now, and when we come back, we shall be looking at the issue of Russia. Russia and the world and the doping agency have been at loggerheads for a long time. The 4-year ban on Russia has been reduced to 2 years by the Court of Arbitration for Sports following an appeal by the Russians. But then, what does this signal for Russia? Is this a reprieve, or they still have to suffer one or two consequences? Because I understand that those 2 years will mean that they will not compete at the Olympics next year, and also the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. So if they are missing those two big competitions, I wonder how much of a reprieve, that cut in the number of years the ban that cut in the number of years that the ban is supposed to be from 4 to 2 will do for the Russians. But then we shall be analyzing all this when we return from the short break. Welcome back to the Grand Sports Center, and Like we said before we went on the break, Russia's ban has been reduced from 4 years to 2 years by the World um, Court of Arbitration for Sports, and this means that in 2 years' time they will be back to competing. But then that would mean they'll have missed out on next year's Olympic Games and of course the 2022 World Cup in Russia. Austin, is this something to celebrate by the Russians? Because if it was Nigeria missing out the World Cup and the Olympic Games, even if the 2 years has been reduced, it will be amount to even the same issue. But what do you make of it all?
I think the Court of Arbitration for Sports, they have been fair. If you ask me, it was actually proven that they were actually involved in the whole scandal. But then the Court of Arbitration for Sport actually considered the fact that the punishment might be too heavy for the Russians, and they are considering the fact that it's not all the athletes that are actually involved in this. There are some who are actually clean. So if you put a 4-year ban on Russia, it's going to affect some of those athletes. But then 2022 World Cup, they have to forget it unless they can find a way around it. But if you ask me, I'll say let them forget about it. 2022 December, that's when their ban will end. So
but then there's still something positive. They will play in the 2020 Euro tournament. So that's something Russians can still look forward to.
Yeah, the ban doesn't necessarily mean that their teams will not obviously participate. They will participate. It's something for Russia to look up to, but at the same time, for a country not to obviously fly its flag at major competitions is a disturbing issue. They have a lot to blame themselves for, but at the same time, I think the fact that they have the Euro 2020,
yeah.
to also compete for
it's a consolation, right?
Yeah, it's a consolation.
But then it hopes that within this period, some of the issues, rough edges of the disagreement between Russia and the World Anti-Doping Agency will be ironed out, because the WADA is actually asking that some documents be handed over by the Russians, which the Russians have so far refused to, and those are some of the things that led to the 4-year ban initially. So with the ban reduced to 2 years, so it's hoped that finally Russia will see out these 2 years of the ban and then come back strongly into the international sporting world. Because if you ask me, we have really missed the Russians. The last Olympic Games was one that the Russians are there, they add to the level of competition, and it makes it stiffer, and it actually makes the competition much interesting. So we need the Russians to be back, and we hope that they comply by whatever rules and regulations WADA has given them, so that they can be restated fully at the end of the ban. There's still the Grand Sports Center. We are really running on borrowed time now, so to speak, because we are running out of time gradually. We'll quickly talk about the Super Eagles watch, and nothing much about the Super Eagles players, because the Champions League and the Europa League are very much not on hold at the moment. But then some of former players are in the news already. Taiwo Awoniyi is one player who plays for Union Berlin, a Liverpool player but on loan to Union Berlin, and he's been in the news in recent times, scoring goals. He has scored 3 goals in the last 10 league matches, and which shows that he's really in prolific form. Super Eagles manager, we understand, has spoken highly about him, noting the possibility of inviting him for future Super Eagles. But that's level the coach to do. But the news from Super Eagles watch today is that Awoniyi is looking forward to playing for the Super Eagles, given his rich vein of form for his club Union Berlin, where he has scored 3 goals in 10 league appearances. He says he knows Super Eagles has very good players, but then he would not. He's expecting that in no distant time he also will be considered for invitation to the national team. Another player, Leon Balogun, that is not these are not the best of times. He suffered an injury on Wednesday in their Scottish League Cup match against St Mirren, and was actually stretchered off. He was kicked in the head by another Nigerian, Jonathan Obika, who plays for St Mirren. So Obika is, if you remember him, is a seasoned campaigner. He has played in English football. He started his career with Tottenham Hotspur youth team. He has gone to play for various other teams in the Championship like Reading, and now he's in Scottish football playing for St Mirren. And he was the one that caught Leon Balogun in the head. We understand that that injury may keep him out of this weekend's match against Motherwell. So we are hoping and praying that Leon Balogun gets back to full fitness. And finally, there's a new Nigerian player that is set to take European football by storm in the next couple of years. 19-year-old Kevin Omori. He plays for USK in Spain, the same club that Kelechi Wakali plays for. He made his debut on yesterday in their La Liga, in their Copa del Rey fixture against Tercera division side Machamalo. So they played against a lower division side, and he was introduced and played in that match. That was his special debut for USK. His name is Kevin Omori. Watch out for that name in the future. For him to have been able to break into the team, in the first team at that age, shows that there's something good about that player. That's so much about Super Eagles Watch for today. We shall now serve you today in sports history as we gradually wrap it up on the program today. So let's take today in sports history. Welcome back to the Grand Sports Center, and this is where we wrap it up on this edition of the show. We hope you've had a nice time with us. Like, once again, I want to apologize for what happened this week. We were not on air for 4 days, but it's good to be back, and we promise you that next week we're going to have it all through, and it will be smooth sailing from now onwards. I'm Donald Babobo. I want to thank Austin Abame for being part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
And Blessing Basi.
It's a pleasure.
And of course, you out there, our lovely viewers. We're going to be back same time, same station next week, Monday, when the program will return with another interesting edition. And as usual, we always look forward to having you joining us. On behalf of those of us here in the studios and those working in the background, the entire production crew, I want to wish you a very lovely weekend ahead.